of both parents in order to thrive. When one parent is absent, either through death, divorce, or simply being out of the child's life, it can have a profound effect on the child's development. How does having an absent parent affect a child? The answer to this question is complex, as each child is unique and will respond to the situation in his or her own way. In general, children who have an absent parent often struggle with feelings of abandonment, insecurity, and loneliness. They may have difficulty forming attachments and trusting others. They may also have behavioral problems and perform poorly in school. The good news is that with love and support from the other parent, children can overcome the negative effects of having an absent parent. They can learn to trust again and to form healthy attachments. With the right help, they can thrive in spite of the challenges they face. So, I've read this, okay? And now I'm going to explain. So basically, what is being said is that parents need the love and support of both parents to thrive.
What do you mean the children?
Sorry, the
Yeah, children.
children.
Right.
The children need
Right.
the love and support. Thank you for the correction.
Yeah.
The love and support of both parents to thrive. Okay? So sometimes you would find, even in single parent households, a child will ask the mom, if it's the mom who's there, Mommy, where is my daddy? Why don't I have daddy like other children? So you find especially when a child is at school, they will be speaking and mingling with their peers. And of course, when the peers are speaking about the experiences, this child will come back and ask you, the parent, why don't I have a mommy at home? Or why don't I have a daddy at home? And of course, that is going to affect the child because as much as a lot of mothers try, they cannot be a father. So sometimes you find, especially boys, they need boys would emulate their father. They would do things that their fathers do, right? They would need to sometimes do activities that I'm not saying that the mommy cannot go ahead and play football, but of course they would need that father figure to mold them to be that gentleman
True.
into tomorrow's world, right? Or on the other hand, if they do not have a mother in the home, okay, how much can daddy teach me? Okay, the things that mommy can teach me, can daddy teach me, right? For example, you daddy, you have your daughter and you're a single father and you're raising your daughter. How comfortable is it for you to sit and speak to your daughter on topics such as, okay, having your period, okay,
True.
liking boys and so on?
Mm-hmm.
It would be a little uncomfortable both for you and the girl. So I'm just imploring, especially in our households now, there are a lot of absentee fathers, and I'm asking that I'm saying, sorry, that when fathers are absent out of the homes, if we look around, Ulan, we will see that there are a lot of boys out there. I'm not saying that there are not girls, but a lot of the boys are out there, okay, with wayward behaviors.
That's true.
If they had a father present to teach them the way to go, how to be, basically, how to be a man, how to be a male, it would make a vast difference.
I concur.
Okay, it would make a vast difference. A lot of people believe that, okay, give the allowance, every day, and I'm being the father. No, you have to be present in that child's life. Or the mom, you stay away overseas and then you send down the barrels.
Right.
Okay, I am being a parent. No, the child needs you.
What's the love? The love.
Okay, the child needs you. The
Gotta
child
be
needs
affectionate.
the reassurance. The child wants to see you at parents meeting. Many times, sometimes there are activities at the school, a Father's Day activity. For example, bring your father day. Oh my God. I think schools may have stopped this.
It's been a while.
They've stopped it.
While. It
Yes.
wasn't. It was present, but
Yes.
A lot of my kids haven't come to me with that.
Yes, they've stopped it
Mhm.
because let me tell you, we have to protect our children at the end of
Mhm.
the day. So imagine when you have such an activity and you're seeing that only three fathers are present.
Mhm.
Okay? Some children will come and tell you, Miss or so, I don't even know who my father
Mhm.
is. Okay? There are some mothers who are not present, but mostly the fathers.
But you know, at a
Okay.
PTA meeting, like you made mention, that speaks volume. And you know, a lot of teachers actually look out to see, is it only the mothers coming to PTA, or if the fathers are present as well? And that goes down in the register for children.
Mm-hmm. Many fathers are not present in the children's lives, and I'm not sure if it is a cultural thing, especially here in St. Lucia, that fathers believe that my role is to just be the financial
Right.
person. The financial aspect is mine, and that is it.
Mhm.
But where is speaking to your son? Okay, simple things as even bathing, Ulan.
Mhm.
Sometimes for you to teach your son and even modulate
Mhm.
how you should go ahead and bathe properly,
Okay.
certain
Okay.
parts of you, how do
Okay.
you deal with it, what do you do?
Okay.
Okay, so this is very important and it gives you that father son bonding,
Mhm.
right? To take your child out there, make some time, take your child on the field to play some football, take your child for a walk, teach your child to ride. You will see the vast difference of when there are two parents present and when there's only one parent present in a child's life, how this child behaves. So sometimes when you, or even sometimes too, when you have a breakup in the family, whether it be a divorce or just a separation,
Mhm.
the children take it to heart because
That's
they
true.
find that what was happening before when we had our family time, it is not happening anymore. We used to go to the movies together. We used to go to church together. Certain activities we used to do together. There is no longer daddy where I was lying in daddy's arms watching the movie. Daddy is no longer there. Or mommy used to be there cooking or making popcorn for us when you're watching the movie. Mommy is no longer there. So the children take it to heart. And sometimes you find children thinking that, hey, it's my fault. I did not do something right. I did something wrong.
But why?
Um, Sometimes, based on arguments, children listen. And even though it's not directed at them,
Mhm.
children will listen and maybe have the wrong interpretation because you find maybe mom is complaining that she's always stressed out,
Mhm.
that when she comes from work she also has to do the house chores and take care of the children and so on. So then if a child is listening and maybe eventually mommy leaves, the child will be starting to feel, okay, maybe I was the burden,
Mhm.
that's why mommy left. Or daddy, when he comes home, you're asking daddy to help you with the homework,
Mhm.
you're asking daddy to do an activity with you, and he's saying, oh, I'm tired after I've gone to work the whole
Yeah.
day and I'm coming
I
back, and
understand.
you know.
I understand. I
So
understand.
yeah, so then the child may start feeling that, hey, you know what, it's maybe my fault that this is happening.
But academically, they get affected as well, right?
Definitely, because we were going down to some of the ways that the children are actually affected.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay,
Mhm.
yes. So academically, the children are affected emotionally. Emotionally, like
Mhm.
I said, they would start feeling that it is their fault. Okay, so they'll start feeling abandoned as well. If, for example, the child always seeing their parents around, and now daddy has gone to live, for example, I'm living in Soufre and
Mhm.
daddy has gone up to live in Castries, so it's not always easy for daddy to come down to visit me.
Mhm.
Okay, so now I'm feeling, okay, he has moved on with his life, I'm no longer important to him.
Right.
Okay, and this child will indeed start to act up. Okay, so in the school you will start realizing that, okay, for one, the grades will start dropping
Mhm.
because right now it's like, I'm not sure if you've ever gone through a breakup, right? And the look on your face and to the effects of it.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have no appetite to eat,
Mhm.
you cannot sleep,
Right.
you have no zeal to do anything
You
whatsoever.
cry yourself to sleep. Right.
Yes, and you have no zeal to do anything. So it's similar to this child. It's similar to this child who have lost a parent. So right now you don't have any zeal to do anything. You're depressed. You've lost your appetite. You don't want to study anymore. That's not that's it's really affecting this child. So it affects the children in many different ways, especially if they had a bond with this particular parent, and all of a sudden this parent is gone. And even then, when there is not a bond, for example, this child is growing up and does not know his or her father, the child will start questioning, okay, but mommy, who is my daddy? Tom has his father. Tom's father is doing that. Where is my father? Then they said, is it my fault? Is it because I'm a bad child that daddy is not coming around? What is going on? Why don't I have a father myself? Okay, maybe I'm not a normal child. Okay, and these questions will start coming up.
But what if those parents will tell you, boy, they even know how to answer because it could be on either one of them falls. It could either be who knows, the dad was Mr. Casanova, the mother was wilding out all the time. You understand? So how do you explain that to a child when children know more? There's different persons who actually, well, different perspective execute it different way. No two humans are wired the same. But
Mm-hmm.
how do you explain that when some parents will tell you, boy, wow, that's a damn good question, but how do they explain it to you? Because the child self, with a level of maturity, you'd want the child to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Something that was painful for you as a female, as a fella, who knows, maybe um, you wasn't working at the time, and then you have to, although that's not a reason why to be
Mm-hmm.
absent from your child or children's life,
Life.
you understand?
Mm-hmm.
But how do you actually go ahead and explain that to a child?
It's never easy to. It's never easy to explain to a child that daddy can no longer come home or mommy can no longer come home. But you have to find a way to let the child know that, look, um, maybe when you become older, you're an adult, you'll understand better. But at this point, it is better for mommy and daddy to be living separately. All right. And ensure the child that it is not your fault. Anything that's happening right here, it is not your fault. It's just that maybe mommy and daddy can no longer coexist. They can no longer live together. Because you could even bring it out that, hey, do you realize that maybe we're always arguing because maybe we could not understand each other anymore? Or daddy is not in your life because when daddy and I met, we were not serious and he was not able to stay. Whatever explanation you give, you have to make it as simple as possible because these things are very complex.
Right,
And that does not mean that the child is going to understand.
right.
It's just that you have to continue to reinforce certain behaviors that, of course, if daddy is not there, and I cannot make daddy come, okay, I cannot make daddy come. So don't worry, today I'm going to go on the field with you to play that football, trying to fit in. And yes, it is never easy, and no matter how much you try, most times the child will be affected, unfortunately.
Because you tend to see a lot of those things, especially in America when you watch it, especially and when they're co-parenting, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
you have to go to the child's game, the soccer game, the
Mm-hmm.
football game, the baseball games. You see a lot of those things, and then sometimes when the other parent can't make it, then you hear the bashing, already you
Mm-hmm.
always late or you never on time. How would she feel? How would he feel? You
Yep.
you see it in the movies. You see.
Yep.
So it might not be as tough up there, but it happens down here as well in the Caribbean islands. It is happening.
All
All right.
right. So it said that a child whose parent is absent from home suffers from a variety of negative outcomes, including a lower sense of well being, regardless of the cause, like we were saying, according to how to adults. When a parent is absent, it almost always means that the rest of the family has an unbalanced relationship because the rest of the responsibility falls on the mother. Okay? There are three ways in which absent parents have an impact on relationships today. Relationships between a child and the parent can become strained if the parent rejects them or is unresponsive to them. And earlier, like I said, it will become strained. They will start feeling abandoned because maybe the parent cannot be there as often as he or she used to be, and so on. So the child, of course, will start feeling I am no longer important. As a child, you may have been subjected to sexual and emotional abuse by someone who was in a destructive relationship. So, again, when we were speaking earlier, we're not saying here that this happens. Okay, it may have happened. So, this is why we're saying here that sometimes when you explain to children why you cannot be together, you have to tell them we can no longer coexist and it's for your interest. It's better that you're in a safe environment. It's better that you with me or with daddy, because daddy and I cannot agree anymore. We cannot understand each other anymore. No, let me tell you, sometimes it feels like to the child one in and out, because in a child's world, how can you not coexist? How can you not understand daddy? How can you not understand? Because there have been children, it as hurtful as it is, when you try explaining to them why daddy is not there, some girls, they will turn around and tell you it's your fault.
Right.
It is
Right.
your fault. And you just have to shoulder it, and eventually the child is going to realize what is really happening as they grow older. But don't expect a child to
Again, like I
understand.
mentioned, is understand. How do you
Yes,
make them
you
understand?
cannot. It is in action as they grow older. As they grow older. So sometimes it's better to even have the child ask certain things. For example, okay, mommy, I want to go to the beach with daddy. All right? You take out your phone, please call daddy. Tell daddy come and take you to the beach. So then when daddy gives the child the excuse, the child will start realizing it's not really mommy's fault, That is a very busy man or whatever. Because sometimes as much as you explain, they will not understand. So action would make them understand a little more. But it still boils down to the child is being affected at the end of the day.
I want to ask you a
Yeah.
question. Um, would you say that fatherless children, especially the young girls, um, is more likely to experience problem with sexual health in terms of well, how can I put that, promiscuity, teenage pregnancy,
Um,
or is it vice versa? Mother's not being around, and maybe in the you leave your child in the care of your maybe your boyfriend or husband, who knows, you may be overseas or wherever, and then by knowing that the father himself has to be out there working, and there's nobody else, no guardian to overlook or see what that child.
all right. So absentee
There you
parents,
go again.
okay? I would say parents, because there are many single parent households with mothers at the head of the household and the children come out just fine. They come out okay.
Right.
Again, it is how you train your child, how you mold your child, how you protect your child. Because you were speaking about going overseas or
Right.
even working.
For
Again,
overseas, who knows?
again, you need to know who you're leaving your child in the care of. And like I always tell people, nobody treats your child as good as you would treat your child, right? So a lot of times I try to encourage people, like when people say, okay, I'm going overseas to make a life for my child. You're making a life for yourself, not your child. Because for one, when you leave, say your child comes home that day and maybe he or she did not do the work properly, and maybe he or she got scolded. When he comes home, what do you think he or she needs the most? They need that hug. They need these comforting words. They need, okay, don't worry, let's go over it. Okay, what did you do wrong? They need that kind of um
Bonding.
bonding. Because when you're away and you say you're doing video call, where is that touch? Where is that? They need that. So if one parent is not there, the other parent should be there. There should be a parent in the home. And of course, if a child is not getting that kind of attention, that love, they will go and find it,
Elsewhere,
whether it be
wrong
the
places.
girl or the boy, they will find it. They will go and find it because it's missing, it's lacking. So they will go and find it. What I have noticed is that a lot of girls with a father absent, they look for a father figure. They look for a father figure. So you'd find maybe a lot of younger girls go for older men because they're looking for that father figure. Another thing again is that you find some of the girls are afraid of not girls, sorry, but children. And we were talking about the girls. Some of the girls, they are afraid of commitment. So you find that they don't want to just stick to one person. And of course, we talk about that promiscuity coming in and so on because they're afraid of that commitment. My father left my mother, so who are you not to leave me? And that kind of thing. Okay. So again, it brings it back to parents being there. And if you are working, find somebody who's safe, who's secure. And as much as things are not written in somebody's face, that okay, I may see you alone and say, okay, you know what, I trust you. You look like a good guy to leave my children with. But make sure you pay attention to the red flags. Make sure you pay attention to pointers. Make sure you speak to your child. Okay, listen to your child. This is very important. Don't take anything for granted and say, "Oh, I will not do something like that." No, you don't know people's hearts.
True.
People can show you the best side in front of you, and behind you is something else.
True.
So always have this communication, open communication with your children to find out how was your day, what happened, what did, if the child confides in you and says something has happened between this person, never tell the child that is not true. I think you're mistaken, that is not true. No,
Yeah,
find out.
do give the
Okay,
benefit of the doubt too.
you know, so you have to look at the different the red flags, look at the pointers. The child will come home and sometimes always sulking, always in a bad mood when they come from the neighbor or the babysitter. They're always down, they close themselves in the room. Look at different things and find out what is happening with your child. You cannot always be there, but you have to pay attention to ensure your child's safety.
Now I like that. So we spoke about, we touched on, of course, promiscuity, and of course teenage pregnancy. That's in relation to the girls. All right, youngest. What's about the guys in relation to drug and of course alcohol abuse?
um when I said earlier that they will go and look for the love, we spoke about the girls going to the older men and all. The boys now, many of them go to the gangs where they find their identity. They try to get their identity. They try to find, that security and where I belong. So I'm aligning with people who are like me, and of course people that can boost my ego. So and men, boys and men, this thing, their ego is very important
Right.
to them because they want to always show that I'm macho and yes, I'm a man. These male hormones. So these boys, if they're in that gang, excuse me, they go to that gang to find that to find where they belong. So of course, when you're in Rome, you do like the Romans do.
True.
So if my gang is using marijuana, of course, I won't be left out. Maybe I don't really want to do it, but then I would have to show allegiance to this. So of course I am going to take the drugs. If you are doing some robbery, I know it's wrong. I don't really want to do it, but of course if I don't do it, it shows maybe I'm betraying them or I'm not part of the group. So I have to do. Okay, I have to do what is happening because you know what? I rather do that and feel like I belong. I'm from the Tigers group. So there's a form of identity, brotherhood. Because when I'm home, who's there to give me any love? Who's there to guide me? Who's there to tell me anything? I'm always home on my own.
Right.
Okay, and also too, some of the boys, they tend to be the husband of the family or the father figure of the family. So they too, in going out there taking the wrong route, is also their way of fending for the family. So they may go out there and say, you know what, mommy cannot afford. I'm really seeing that mommy is working so hard and she cannot afford. So I'll go there and maybe Mr. Sue from the shop won't mind if I take two pounds of flour from him without him noticing. So I'm going to take it home. I'm going to take it home to mommy, to lessen that burden on her, right? And The boy thinks that he's doing something good. So
Mhm.
if mommy does not nip that in the bud, what do you know? He took 2 pounds of flour the first time.
Mhm.
Then he'll go for $20 next time. Then
True.
okay, so these are the little things, and these are things that is how it develops.
Right.
So you, like I said, you have to pay attention. You have to nip it in the bud. It's not easy being a single parent. I can tell you.
Let me ask you what. Let's talk about breaking the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Breaking the cycle. Of course, there's persons they was brought up single. Well, as a single parent, they did it. Yo, hills, valleys. They went through thick, through thin, and of course, that child happened to grow up. And that child, you know what? Come to think of it, I saw what mom went through. I saw what dad went through. I'm not gonna allow that, man. Let me be the one who inspires. Let me be that good father figure for my son or my kids. Let me be that good mother figure as well. It's like breaking the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go through that. I don't want it, not because it happened to me. I'm supposed to let it happen to my children, or you understand, or
Mm-hmm.
somebody else. Although, boy, sometimes you try it and the relationship just not
I
working,
was
but
just I was thinking that.
you understand?
Yeah. Now, in doing so, we have to be very careful because sometimes people end up staying in broken relationships,
Because of
abusive
kids.
relationships, to try to prove a point, to try to keep that norm that, you know what, I am going to give my child both of the parents, and sometimes you end up doing more was bad than good.
Yeah, you're hurting yourself
Okay,
in the process.
now what I would say
Mhm.
is that um you don't have to be together to raise children. Okay, you don't have to be together to raise children. You want to be a good father, be in your children's lives.
Or good mother.
Be, if you want to be a good mother,
Mhm.
be in your children's lives. Co-parent,
Mhm.
that's very important. This weekend is your weekend, next weekend is mine, or whatever way that you wish to have it. Understanding between parents, communication between parents. And one thing I really do not like
Mhm.
is that parents separate, and you find, of course, there will be other partners coming in.
Mhm. People want to date.
So the
Yes.
father has a new girlfriend, the mother has a new boyfriend. I think that um the father, we're talking about the father, and then we'll move to the mother. The father needs to have a conversation with his new girlfriend to
Mhm.
let this girlfriend know, Mary, I have two children with Jane.
Mhm.
Okay, and my two children are very important to me. I will have to communicate with Jane because of my children. I would like you to be on board. Of course, we are having this open relationship with where my children are concerned. There will be times, Mary, that I have to go at Jane's home to get my children. There will be times I would have to call Jane's phone. Lay down
Mhm.
these rules, let
Mhm.
her know, because sometimes you may pretend that, I have nothing to do with this woman was the devil herself.
Mhm.
And of course, lo and behold, later Mary's finding out you calling Jean.
But you'll have ties.
Okay, you calling Jean and whatever. Explain to her.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's what I'm saying, that sometimes people tend to think that she should know, she should be away. Explain it so you have no excuse to say, I don't know. Okay, I will go for my children, this is my weekend. Don't tell me, okay, but babes, we have plans for this weekend, we have the beach party. Incorporate the
Mhm.
children.
Mhm.
Do not allow your spouse to encourage you to put your children behind.
Right.
Too many times this is happening. To please your girlfriend, you ignore your child. To please your boyfriend, you ignore your child. If you love me, love my children. If you love me, encourage me to be in my children's lives.
True.
Okay, too many times that a father puts his wife or his girlfriend before his child, or a mother puts her husband or her boyfriend before her child.
All right. Of course, guys. Again, if you want to make a contribution, you can send us a message via Facebook. All right. Or of course, WhatsApp 7305388. You can send a voice note. You can send a text message. You can, again, like a WhatsApp. Again, 7305388. All right. Of course, join the conversation, man. Let's get interactive. Join the conversation. Let us know your thoughts on what's going on here. And of course, um, have you gone down that road before? Or are you still in that? Okay, still fighting. We know. Anyway, somebody's asking you, does it matter if the head of the household is the mom or the dad? Good morning to Facebook. All you on Facebook.
Okay.
That's what somebody asked you.
It does not matter. What
Mm.
matters is that your child grows in a healthy environment. So, whether it's the mother or the father, it does not matter. But it matters to have both parents involved in the child's life. And this is what we're saying. It's not a matter of who is the head of the household, but it is a thing of having both parents involved in the child's life. Okay, so if it's a mother who's heading the household, that's just fine, but the father too has to play his part. Okay, where the father comes in, spends time with the child, bonds with the child, do his fatherly things with the child. He doesn't have to be living in the household to do that.
Right.
Likewise with the dad. If the father is heading the household, there are single fathers, it doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is the mother has to be there. She has to be playing her role as a mother. Because there are things that a father cannot be a mother, and a mother cannot be a father, no matter how much you try. So you have to take in your responsibility and be there for your
But you
children.
hear single parents say to you that they play both daddy and mommy role, eh? No, you've heard that before, right?
I think I'm even guilty of it too.
Ah, you go again, but
Yes,
not far from home.
I won't lie.
So tell
Okay.
us, give us your experience. You play both mommy and daddy
Yes, and when we say we play both mommy and daddy role,
role.
it is some of the things that I mentioned that you cannot really be a father.
Mhm.
There are certain things. Okay, um,
Yeah, yeah.
I was
For son.
no, I was
You
just
know us.
laughing because I was cautioned, don't use my children too much.
Okay. Okay.
So yes,
Well,
so then
somebody's watching the show. Somebody's always listening. But
so
big up you.
so then I'm saying that there are certain times that certain things a boy would be more comfortable discussing a particular thing that I have learned from experience. A boy would be more comfortable discussing a particular thing with a male
Mhm.
than a female, so he would be more comfortable going to his father, telling his father, you know what, daddy, I like to see this girl,
Mhm.
and or certain or whatever it may be. Or I wet my pants last night.
Sure.
Simple things.
Mhm.
Because again, remember we spoke about the ego. And
Mhm.
these boys have this ego from young. And it would be they feel better to go and tell it to the male in the household or the male around than to the female.
Mhm.
So when you're the mother, sometimes it is very difficult for your son to come to you. For example, I'm going to be very raw here now. For example, your son is becoming a teenager and he's starting to have an erection.
Mhm.
Okay, when he wakes up,
Mhm.
how comfortable do you think your son can come and tell you, the mother, Mommy, what is this? Every time I wake up, my penis is erected. You know, he would feel more comfortable going to his father with that than to you. Okay, you the mother, how comfortable are you to speak to your son about sex education?
Or you'll get them in the Caribbean. I believe my papa.
You know,
You understand? Yeah.
yes. So even in the classroom,
Mhm.
there was an instance I remembered in a particular classroom. A child blurted out to a female teacher that you know he doesn't know what's wrong with him. He's just getting an erection, and the teacher said, hold up, let me get the male teacher to explain
Sure.
to you. And she went ahead and she did that. Okay, so similarly in the household, the boy would want to be speaking to
Mhm.
a male
Mhm.
about certain aspects. You mommy, you go and take him to play football on the field. How much football can you really play? Sometimes you may just stand on the side and watch.
Mhm.
You may not even be able to engage as daddy would be able to engage. All right, and have these father son talks to
Mhm.
bond and so on. All right.
Somebody's asking you a question. Can absent parents cause trauma?
Definitely.
Yeah, somebody asked you that.
Definitely. And this is exactly what we're talking
Mhm.
about,
Mhm.
because the children feel they emotionally, Okay, they feel lonely. What are some of the things I said earlier? The children feel lonely, the children feel rejected, they feel abandoned, and so on. And the trauma would come in where the child would go out there and get the love that they're not getting at home.
Abandonment trauma.
The child will start feeling, okay, maybe I'm the one causing that. And there was something else I wanted to touch base on, and I will always come back to it, even
Right.
though we've had a show on that about childhood trauma, where you need. And I was reading something earlier that says, I was reading something and it said that some people think that boys shouldn't cry, or boys don't cry, big men don't cry. You should cry. Okay, it is okay to cry.
You see, from young, they were trying, this is like kind of
Yes.
macho, that kind of
Yes, they
macho
will tell
vibe.
you, oh, you're a mama's boy if you
Yeah,
cry
that's
and
not,
so
fellas, that
on.
ain't true, eh? That's
No,
not true.
it is okay to let out your
Yes.
emotions, because you'll be like a bottle of Coke. You will keep it there, and then the pressure would rise and rise. And when it comes out, it will just
Don't keep it bottled
blast
up.
out.
Don't keep it bottled
Okay?
up.
It's always wise to get help. If you grew up without a parent and it has affected you, get help. Go to counseling,
True.
seek some therapy, speak to somebody, find help. Don't ever think, okay, I can do it on my own, because it's going to damage your relationship, or you will not be able to have a
Let me
relationship.
ask you, if somebody's
Okay?
listening to you right now, okay, and the person needs some talk, some kind of intervention and all that, who and where do kind of person turn to? Is there a number somebody can call for assistance?
Um, we have the 203 hotline, not only for suicide, we call it the suicide hotline, but you can also call it to speak with. There are trained persons, and they will direct you to somewhere else. They have the EPA. I'm not sure of a number. I do not have it on hand, and I promise, please remind me when I come back on the show next week to bring in these numbers, because I
Okay.
do not have them on hand. So you could call a counselor. There's also, we have the wellness center where there are trained counselors, and the wellness center's number is 458-6500. You could call, and they will direct you to the psychosocial department, where they have a psychosocial department where there are trained counselors. And these trained counselors, some of them would have their offices, and of course, if they cannot help you there, they will direct you other places. Okay?
Oh,
And
go ahead, go ahead.
there are other counselors on island who have their private practice that you could get a hold of. Unfortunately, in our department, human services, we do not have counselors on board as yet. So we're hoping to do that soon enough. But as for the public, of course, you could call, as I said, 203, and you could also call the wellness center. There are counselors who could assist you.
All right, thank you for that. Again, folks, if you want to make a contribution, you can call us at 459. I know some persons if online, so 459-7888. All right, so yeah, you can add it to your contact list. 459-7888, or the cell 730-5388. Somebody commented, nowadays we have to choose who father. Well, who, nowadays we have to choose who father your child, because I see they make a big issue with the baby shower or gender reveal, and when baby born, the father run away. All right, they're no longer together, and I believe that's the time they should be together to raise that child. That makes sense.
Okay,
To an extent,
I would love
yes.
to comment on that. As
I,
I said
not really the
earlier.
baby shower thing. Every boy
Yeah.
like, I want to be part. Let's make the baby, and then for real, when
Yes.
the child or close to, there's nobody
Mhm.
there to sign the certificate. Nobody there.
Let me
So
tell
you
you,
understand?
like I said earlier, nothing is written on anybody's forehead.
Mm-hmm.
So we cannot be fooled to say that we need to choose, or we need to find out who our children's fathers
Mm-hmm.
are. I will give you something. You may have a child in a previous relationship, and you're an excellent father to this child. I am coming in. Of course, you're a handsome young man, and so on. And I'm seeing, of course, you're a great father to your child. We get into a relationship, and so on. We have a child. You may be one of the worst fathers to this child. Yes. And I will tell you why.
Why?
A lot of
Elaborate
times,
some more. I need to know why.
yes,
Yes.
a lot of times,
Uh-huh.
And it was a gentleman who brought that to my attention. And when I look around, it is not 100% true, but based on my experience, and I've looked around and I'm realizing a lot of men would treat the child they have with a woman that they loved better than the woman that, okay, maybe the love was not so deep,
Or like there's like a
okay,
rebound.
or a rebound or
Mm.
whatever. And this is very unfortunate because they are all your children. They all deserve your love and your
They're
attention.
part of you. They have your DNA. They
Yes,
have your
they are
genes. So
all,
how can you treat one better
yeah.
than the other?
And say, okay, me, I'm not coming around with that child. I have nothing to do with the child because that mother is a witch. What does it have to
To
do
do
with
with
the
your mother,
mother?
that's your
This is
child.
your
And
child.
again, you can't have preferential treatment in
Okay.
that.
So I have seen it firsthand. And this is what I'm saying. So when this man was treated so nicely by this woman, he was totally in love with this woman and all. Oh, this is going to be the favorite child because you know what? Every time I see that child, it reminds me, he or she reminds me of the mom, and so on.
As you happen to mention that, I think
Mhm.
persons have reached a situation where um other parents don't want to maybe feed the child because they're not messing with the mother anymore,
Mhm.
or un normal kid and normal
Mhm.
swear issue because my
Mhm.
work.
Yes.
So that's about
Many
that. You want
times,
that, yes.
many times you hear
Uh-huh.
the fathers tell the mothers, "My paka po wako."
Uh-huh.
So my paka is 20 mamaila. I feel no more swing.
Right.
You know? Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So not because you do not have access to the mother anymore, that means that child is no longer yours. This is your child. Okay, and many times society too even criticizes a mother who takes a father to family court for maintenance
Right.
because they say, oh, maka force pièce non pour care issue, and that is ridiculous. It is there for the men who are not feeding their children, so take them there. Okay, family court when they are not feeding their children.
I'm
Yes.
deliberately
So
asking you a question. Give me your definition of a deadbeat dad.
okay, a definition of a
No,
deadbeat
your
dad.
definition.
My definition.
All right, go. All right, just give us a general definition. It's
Okay.
okay. It's okay. I'm
So
only playing.
I would say that a deadbeat dad is a dad who can't afford to take care of their child or their children and they're not doing so. A deadbeat dad is a parent who can make a difference in a child's life. I will further explain.
Right.
And they're not doing so. A parent who can afford to spend time with their child and they're not doing so regardless of your status. Okay, so you are in a situation where you can provide for this child financially, and as you were saying earlier, because you have no access to the mom or you can't stand the mom anymore, you're not doing so. Or maybe because your wife does not want you to speak to the mother anymore,
Right.
you are not doing so. um you are in a situation to make a difference in the child's life. For example, you have an intelligent child, and the mom cannot afford to send the child to school. And you can afford to make a difference. But because you don't care about the child anymore, because you cannot stand the mother, whatever, you choose not to do so. This child needs a ride to and from school. Or maybe the child's school is close to your office or close to your workplace. And this child needs your assistance in one way or another, and you're just deliberately choosing not to be there or not to be part of the child's life, I would call you a deadbeat
Right.
dad. Not the dads who are struggling. There are some dads, give it to them. Okay, they are struggling. They can barely afford, and you will find that they are there.
True.
I once saw a dad. He wasn't really working, but everything he got, he would bring it for his son. He would come. He got a guava. Look, this a fruit. He got an old toy by the road. Look, everything. He's there, spending time, speaking to the son,
All right.
and this child appreciated that so much.
And I like that again. While the child might be appreciating that, there's mothers that don't appreciate that. Come on, say Vico is there's mothers, you've heard that before, and I know you've dealt with cases like that. There's trying fathers. The fellas have the last quarter, the last dollar, but to the mother herself, as if, nah, man, I don't have enough. All what he tried to do, make a positive impact, that is never enough for the mother.
And the mothers who are doing so, you are damaging your child because you are punishing the father for leaving you, and you are using the child. I'm going to say it. And parent and mothers who are doing that need to stop it, because if you are realizing that the father is trying and he is making an effort, thank you. Say thank you to that. Okay? Because not everybody can do the same. Not everybody is at the same level.
Right.
Okay, if you know for sure, for example, that okay, my child's dad has a job where he's getting $3,000 a month, but he's always only giving the child $100, I will not accept that. Yes, you may have your other commitments, I'm not saying no, but your child needs better treatment. Whereas, as opposed to a father who's making, say, $500 for the month, and you bring the 150 or $200 for the month, I will accept it because I know this is what you're making.
So what if come to think of it? Well, okay, you make it a little decent salary. Okay, let's not go into the. But on a serious note, he brings shopping. He goes shopping. He brings everything home, but not the dry cash. And you still have the females annoyed because they are bringing dry cash. But they want to bring food. They want to bring salazon. They want to bring clothes. They want to bring.
And you should appreciate that. And even then, I will say yes and no. In situations where, okay, the dad is bringing the food and so on, very well, thank you so very much. There are times you would need to bring cash. For example, the child goes to the hospital. You need to pay the hospital bill.
That understanding.
The child has an activity at school. The child needs the money. Mommy needs the money to buy the medication, or you can purchase the medication
True.
and bring it in.
True.
Okay, and parents also, as I said, it's 50-50. I understand that some mothers are not working and some dads are. Yet, mothers, even though you are not working, you still have 50% responsibility to that child. And not only just washing the clothes, cooking the food, and training up the child, but also you have to try to make ends meet to put on the table as well. So most of the times when you find these fathers are struggling and bringing in, you will also always say it's not enough, because then you would need all that, you would need the 100% financial assistance. But it's unfortunate, no, because you both have to put 50-50 on the table.
It takes two to cut tango.
Okay,
What's like Gabriel
so
Union
and again, fathers, mothers are not the only ones who are supposed to be spending time with the child. You fathers as well need to take your child on a weekend, take your child for a weekend, take your child for a week, vacation time. Mothers too need a little time to themselves. So you too need to take your child to spend time as well, bond with the child.
I don't know which part of, but somebody's like 100% truth.
Okay, that is the truth. They need to, you need to make time for your children, because too many times, and you know something which I really don't agree with, too many times some fathers are out there, right? And especially those in certain positions out there, they leave everything to the mother to do, and when the child goes wayward or something happens, all the blame is laid on the mom, okay, or the dad. It goes both
Both ways,
ways.
vice versa.
It goes both ways. Okay, and this is very unfair. If you are not playing your part and this child is not producing as you're supposed to, and things are not happening as it's supposed to, why are you blaming the mom, or you blaming the dad, when you, where is your contribution? What did you do as a parent to help this child? Okay, so it's, and one thing I need to let people know as well, financially, when you give this financial contribution, it is important, yes. A child does not remember the money.
True.
A child will remember the time you spent, the activities you did, how you bonded. You remember that day when we were going down the river, daddy, and I was almost rolling and you put me on your back and you were falling, but you kept me on your back. I remember that day. I can still remember as a child. We used to have this thing, Chinese keep, where you jump in the rope, jump rope. And my dad used to put me on his back because I was a little thing. He used to put me on his back and jump. I am old enough and I can
Jack,
still
Jack.
remember.
Yeah, you're a Jack,
Yes,
Jack.
he would put me on his back and he would jump that rope with me because I could not do it. And I would still remember that. You know? So these are the things your children will remember. They'll not remember you gave me $100 to go to Square and stuff, whatever. They may not remember
Or
that.
what if you have your children say to you, the only thing you do is just give me money, you don't give me love?
It happens. And this is exactly what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. It happens. And they would rather give you the money back and get the love.
Yeah.
They would rather, because just like once I remembered being a teacher and a child said to me, all my mom does is to send me barrels. What am I doing with the barrel and she not there? Yes, they said that. I'm selling the things. I don't need it. Okay? Why do I have the barrels and then my mom or my dad is not there? Yeah.
All right.
So
Anyway, folks, as we come to an end, as we conclude our show, anything you want to highlight? Anything did we missed? I'm asking you.
um
Or you want to leave something embedded in person's heads, person's brain. So as you go along the day and of course life's journey, they will remember.
okay. I would leave once a man, twice a child. Okay? Once a man, twice a child. And this means that parents, you would need your children tomorrow. So be very careful how you treat them today. The Bible says to honor your parents. Yes, we need to. Parents, you need to honor your children as well. Because you don't tell me that you will not treat your child well, you will not feed your child, and tomorrow you expect this very same child to come and take care of you when you're on your dying bed, you're bedridden, and so on. And this same child, you treat this child so unfairly, and then tomorrow to expect the same child to come to you and then take care of you. Yes, I believe in forgiveness. Yes, I believe my parents are my parents, but we are not all the same. So if you do want your child to treat you well, you treat your child well. You reciprocate. So today you're the parent. Tomorrow you will be the child where tomorrow you will be the child where you will need that child to come and buy you the pampers and buy you this and take you
Take
to
care
the
of you.
doctor,
Yes.
take care of you. So always remember, you will not always be this macho man out there. You will not always be this lady out there. We all getting older. So this is what I'm leaving to you. Treat your children
I,
well.
you see, again, if we had to go back in that, there's always some challenges to that. Because sometimes you treat the children, you get to the best of your ability. Morals, principles, etiquette, of course, financial wise, and they still treat you like dirt. Imagine Fadia was here yesterday and she gave a perfect example how there was that young lady, a senior citizen, she's old. And of course she happened to pass the property and everything in the guy's name, the son's name that is. By this child of hers sold everything she owned, everything she accomplished. Of course, renovated the house, did everything and actually put the mom out, and the mom had no access to come. You see again, boy.
It happens.
I believe
It does
what you
happen.
did say is powerful, but
It just happens. And another thing too, parents need to be very careful of. I will go back to it. If you have only one child, don't train your child to be a selfish child. Don't train your child that everything he or she does is right, because it turns around and bites you. It again goes down to how you train your child.
agreed is a real thing. Agreed.
Yes, you may have, and another thing is that you may have several children, and what do you know? Some parents show favoritism. Some
That
parents
is bad.
say, okay, sometimes you're the one alone in the house taking care of your mom, but your brother is out there overseas, and all that. So, like John ki go namla John, and everything she passes it on to John.
How?
Bec- because Olan is in the house. Kunki Olan is there. But John is the one who got the house and the land and everything. Okay? And John comes down because John has never cared, sells out the house, does everything, and then you're out. Then you have to turn back to Ulan. It happens a lot. So parents need to be very careful on how they do. And children as well. You children, you will get old too. Your parents are your parents. So it is heartbreaking to see sometimes that an elderly person comes to the hospitals or wherever and they have nobody to contact. They have nobody and they have children.
But I tell you, Miss Wadiman, that will damage somebody. Imagine you seeing you there for your parent for odd years,
It
you cleaning up,
happens.
you doing everything,
Mm-hmm.
you spending, you sacrificing your relationship just to do all that, and when persons die in the will, you have nothing. That's
it
damaging
it
you
happens a lot.
mentally. That's
It
setting you off.
happens a lot. It happens a lot.
If you are
So
strong will, man,
yes. So sometimes you ever see they say sometimes you'll hear people say paddy po job by moon because upasa sayo fe.
boy.
That is the saying, because sometimes you never know what happened, why this person is like that, because sometimes they may have passed somebody who's taking care of them and given it off to my favorite child or whatever. If the person is a only sibling, how did you raise that child?
Mhm.
You understand? Again, it boils down to raising. But like you rightfully said, sometimes you do everything right, and yet this child has just gone wayward because greed and selfishness and everything went to their heads. And even sometimes their partners once more, and they have to live up to that lifestyle. So, of course, the parents are pushed to the curb. And this is ridiculous because everything you do in this lifetime come back to you.
Mhm.
So you have to be very careful, whether you're the parent or the child.
That is a note we can live on. There.
Yes,
Well said.
Mhm.
Yeah, the world is a cycle.
It
Yeah.
is.
So
So
yeah,
everything you do
that
comes
is
back
it.
to you.
That is it.
Yes.
Anyway, folks, I want to thank all of you. Of course, the minimal contribution we had, it was good, man. At least we have persons there. I love to see Facebook. Shout out to, of course, Bivon Bart, of course, Sheldon, Lionel. Big up Dana Prevo, big up Bobby Tree. All right, for shame. Shout out to all you. Of course, if it's a Tuesday morning, as long as she has the time, and because she's a very busy lady, very, very, very busy lady. Of course, she's gonna be here with us inside Family Matters. Again, just want to thank each and every one of you. Big up Facebook, big up YouTube.